The morning light spilled over Paris like liquid gold, slipping between the wrought iron balconies and illuminating the rooftops in worn amber. Emilia woke slowly, the city breathing around her. A symphony of street sounds, distant café chatter, and the occasional hum of a passing metro. Each morning, Paris seemed to pulse with possibility, yet today felt different, heavier, more charged. The events of the last week, the rivalries, the sparks, the subtle dances of charm and strategy had begun to feel like a delicate orchestration, and Emilia sensed that today would be another crescendo. Her phone vibrated on the bedside table. May's message flashed in playful urgency. Morning Star! Breakfast at Les Deux Magots. Big news, tiny chaos. Be there in 15 or regret it forever. Emilia smiled. May's energy was infectious, and despite her own nervous anticipation, she felt a spark of excitement. Today wasn't just about work. It was about navigating Paris itself, with all its beauty, intrigue, and unpredictable twists. Emilia dressed carefully. Her outfit simple yet elegant, reflecting the balance she was trying to strike between professionalism, charm, and confidence. Paris demanded attention to detail. The right shoes for cobblestones, the perfect accessory for a cafe meeting, the subtle statement of a scarf or blazer. And Emilia knew she had to be intentional. Every choice was part of the performance, yet it also had to feel natural. The streets were alive as she walked to Les Deux Magots, the air scented with fresh bread and roasted coffee. Street musicians filled the corners with accordion melodies, and the chatter of early risers mingled with the occasional bark of a dog or the gentle clang of a café bell. Each step on the cobblestones was a reminder that Paris demanded engagement, observation, and presence. Emilia drank it in, heart beating faster at the thought of what today might bring. May was already seated, her cappuccino steaming, eyes sparkling with mischief. "Ready?" she asked, leaning forward conspiratorially. "Today will be unforgettable. Camille has plans, Gabrielle has intentions, and you, my dear, will be at the center of it all." Emilia laughed softly, though nerves fluttered in her stomach. She had learned the city tested her in unexpected ways: creativity, charm, emotional insight, and today promised to be no different. As they talked, the café door opened and Gabriel appeared, carrying a small espresso, his calm, confident presence filling the space. Their eyes met and Emilia felt the familiar jolt, a spark she hadn't yet learned to control. "Morning," he said softly, offering her the cup. Their fingers brushed, the contact electric and fleeting, leaving Emilia's pulse racing and her thoughts scattered. Before they could exchange more words, Camille arrived, portfolio tucked neatly under her arm, her movements precise and deliberate. "I didn't want to intrude," she said, voice smooth, eyes flicking between Emilia and Gabriel. "But I thought you might like to see these ideas before today's client briefing." Emilia felt the familiar tension spike. Camille's elegance was always measured, her interference subtle yet potent. Walking towards Savoir together, Emilia felt the city envelop her. The Seine shimmering in the morning light, bicycles weaving gracefully between pedestrians, and the distant glint of the Eiffel Tower like a watchful guardian. Paris wasn't just a backdrop, it was a living, breathing character, challenging her at every corner and rewarding every moment of courage and attention. Inside the office, Sylvie's gaze swept over the room with her usual intensity. Luc and Julia whispered quietly, their curious eyes tracking Emilia's every movement. Camille's poised observation and Gabriel's quiet support created a tension that was nearly tangible. The morning briefing was the first real test of the day, combining creativity, charm, and emotional intelligence. Emilia felt her heart race, but also a quiet thrill. She was ready. As the session began, she wove her own bold ideas into the conversation, balancing Camille's polished contribution with Gabrielle's subtle insights. The client requested last-minute changes, and Emilia's mind raced. She proposed a solution that combined strategy, flair, and ingenuity, earning nods from Sylvie, a warm smile from Gabrielle, and Camille's faint, unreadable glance. Emilia realized that every moment in Paris was a lesson, every interaction a test, and every spark of connection a chance to learn. By mid-morning, she stepped onto the balcony to catch her breath. The Seine shimmered beneath the sun, street cafés alive with chatter, and Paris hummed with possibility. May's words echoed in her mind. Paris will test you, confuse you, and maybe even seduce you. Today was proof. The city was alive, unpredictable, and intoxicating, and Emilia was ready to navigate it all, heart and mind fully engaged. The office buzzed with energy, the soft golden light of late morning spilling through the tall windows. Emilia sat at her desk, surrounded by sketches, laptops, and mood boards, but her thoughts were consumed by the delicate web she was beginning to navigate. The subtle triangle of attraction, rivalry, and collaboration between Gabriel, Camille, and herself. Paris had taught her that every glance, every gesture, and every word carried layers of meaning, and today, those layers felt more complex than ever. Luc and Julien whisperent quiettement, casquant occasionel glance tutoir Emilia, der curiosité et mal de scepticisme ever présent. She smiled inwardly, lettant leurs doutes fuel leur focus, rader que chacun sa confiance. Across la salle, Camille mouvement avec précision d'élégance, flippa son portfolio comme si tout mouvement était un commentaire d'intent. Emilia sentit la tension familière. Camille, glandaté contrôle, Gabrielle understated charm. And her own rising confidence combined into a charged atmosphere that made her pulse quicken. Gabriel approached, carrying 2 espressos. His calm presence, the stark contrast to the sober chaos around them. "You've been at it for hours," he murmured, offering her a cup. Their fingers brushed as she accepted it, the spark of electricity unmistakable. Emilia's heart raced, but she forced herself to focus. Paris demanded her attention, creativity, and intuition all at once, and she couldn't afford distraction. The morning's briefing with a high-profile client began. Camille contributed her polished, flawless ideas. Gabrielle offered understated brilliance, and Emilia wove her bold concepts into the presentation. When the client requested a last-minute pivot, Emilia's mind raced. She combined her creativity with Camille's elegance and Gabrielle's subtle insights, presenting a solution that balanced strategy and style. The client's approving nod sent a thrill through her. Sylvie's glance was both approving and calculating. and Camille's faintly raised eyebrow suggested intrigue, maybe even admiration. By midday, the office transformed into a controlled chaos of creativity. Models arrived for a pop-up photo shoot. Props were arranged, and the boutique's chic interior became the stage for a campaign that demanded precision and flair. Emilia orchestrated the scene, balancing Camille's subtle oversight and Gabrielle's quiet assistance. Every touch, every glance, and every shared word heightened the tension. Gabriel lingered close, his presence simultaneously comforting and distracting. Camille's poised observation reminded Emilia that she could never underestimate her rival's subtle influence. Stepping onto the balcony for a short respite, Emilia drank in the view. The Seine glimmered beneath the afternoon sun, boats drifting lazily, street cafe buzzing with life, and the city itself seemed to hum in rhythm with her own heartbeat. May's earlier words replayed. Paris will test you, confuse you, and maybe even seduce you. The city had already done all three today, and Emilia felt the intoxicating mixture of excitement, apprehension, and curiosity that came with navigating its relentless rhythm. Gabriel appeared beside her, leaning casually against the railing. "You handled everything beautifully," he said softly. "But Paris doesn't slow down, and neither do its challenges or the opportunities." His hand brushed hers lightly, sending a thrill through her. Emilia felt the delicate tension peak, the connection undeniable yet fraught with complexity. Camille's presence at the far edge of the balcony added another layer to the charged atmosphere. Emilia realized that every moment in Paris, every glance, every word, every choice was a test of both professional skill and emotional intuition. She had to navigate competition, collaboration, and the undeniable pull of romance, all at once. By late afternoon, as the office began to empty, Emilia felt both exhausted and exhilarated. She had survived the high-stakes creative challenges, subtly navigated office politics, and felt the deepening tension between herself, Gabriel, and Camille. Paris had tested her skill, charm, and heart, and she was thriving, more aware than ever of her own abilities and desires. The city outside shimmered with possibility, and Emilia knew that tomorrow would demand just as much courage, wit, and passion. But she was ready, her heart and mind fully engaged in the intoxicating, unpredictable. The late afternoon sunlight slanted through the office windows, casting long, warm stripes across polished floors and scattered papers. Emilia sat at her desk, staring at her laptop, but her mind was anything but focused on work. The events of the morning had left her both exhilarated and unsettled. Gabriel's quiet attentiveness lingered in her thoughts. Camille's poised, calculating presence kept her on edge, and a subtle web of office politics hummed around her like an electric current. Paris had a way of magnifying every sensation, and Emilia felt it acutely now. Heart and mind entwined in a delicate, intoxicating tension. Gabriel appeared beside her desk with a steaming espresso. "You've been at this for hours," he murmured, handing it to her. Their fingers brushed lightly, a fleeting touch, yet one that made Emilia's pulse leap. She sipped the coffee, letting warmth seep through her, while simultaneously feeling a nervous flutter she couldn't quite explain. Every moment with him seemed to contain both comfort and anticipation, a thrill she was powerless to resist. Before she could speak, Camille glided into the room, her movements immaculate, holding a perfectly organized portfolio. "I didn't mean to disturb you," she said, voice smooth and controlled, "but I thought you might want to review these updated concepts before the client call." Her eyes flicked between Emilia and Gabriel, subtle yet precise, and Emilia felt the familiar sting of rivalry. Camille's elegance was both beautiful and challenging, a constant reminder that in Paris, competition was never far behind charm. The client call began, the tension thick as Emilia, Gabriel and Camille presented their combini des idées. Camille's suggestions were polies et élégants, Gabriel's contribution quiet yet puissant, et Emilia's créativité bold et thoughtful. When the client requested last-minute adjustments, Emilia's mind raced. She proposed a solution that harmonized everyone's input, blending strategy, aesthetics, and innovation. Approval came in subtle nods. Sylvie's sharp gaze softened ever so slightly. Gabrielle's eyes brightened with unspoken admiration, and Camille's faint, unreadable smile hinted at both intrigue and challenge. After the call, the team shifted to a fast-paced photo shoot at a nearby boutique, a task demanding coordination, creativity, and precision. Emilia orchestrated models, props, and lighting, while Camille observed from the sidelines, her presence exacting and carefully measured. Gabrielle assisted quietly, guiding her without overshadowing her efforts. Every movement, every glance, every brush of hands heightened the tension, professional pressure blending seamlessly with the emotional pull she felt toward Gabrielle. Camille's poised interference made Emilia hyper-aware of every decision, every interaction, and every subtle power play. Stepping onto the balcony for a short pause, Emilia gazed at the Seine, shimmering under the late afternoon light. The city below thrummed with life, the distant chatter of cafés, the soft hum of bicycles, and the faint strains of accordion music drifting from street corners. May's words from Ernier echoed in her mind. Paris will test you, confuse you, and maybe even seduce you. Today, the city had accomplished all three. And Emilia felt the intoxicating mixture of exhilaration, anticipation, and subtle fear that Pius demanded. Gabriel joined her at the railing, leaning close. "You handled today brilliantly," he murmured. "But remember, Paris never slows down, and neither do the challenges or the opportunities." Their hands brushed again, brief but electric. Emilia felt a rush of warmth and longing that she couldn't ignore. Camille lingered at the far end of the balcony, her gaze sharp, her presence a reminder that competition and intrigue were never far away. Emilia realized she had to navigate not only professional challenges, but also emotional ones, learning to balance desire, ambition, and diplomacy. Every glance, every choice, every word carried weight, and the stakes had never felt higher. As night approached, the city lights flickered on, painting Paris in golden shimmer. Emilia returned to her desk, heart racing and mind alert. The day had tested her in every way possible: creativity, charm, courage, and heart, and she had thrived. Paris had pushed her limits, but it had also revealed a growing confidence and desire, both professional and personal. Leaning on her balcony, watching the Eiffel Tower sparkle in the distance, Emilia allowed herself a quiet thrill. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new sparks with Gabrielle, and likely more subtle games from Camille. Yet for the first time, she felt fully alive in the rhythm of Parisian life, ready to embrace it all, heart and mind engaged in the unpredictable, intoxicating dance of the city. Night had settled over Paris, the city glowing with a soft golden haze. Emilia returned to her apartment, her mind buzzing with the day's whirlwind of challenges, subtle rivalries, and electrifying tension. Gabriel's quiet attentiveness lingered in her thoughts. Camille's poised interference replayed like a delicate melody, and the pulse of Paris itself seemed to hum in rhythm with her own heartbeat. Every moment of the day had been a test, and yet Emilia felt exhilarated, alive in a way she hadn't experienced before. A knock at the door made her jump slightly. Gabriel stood there, holding 2 cups of espresso, his calm presence radiating warmth. "I thought you might need this," he said, offering her one. Their fingers brushed, sending a spark of electricity through her chest. She accepted the cup, savoring both the coffee and the subtle intimacy of the gesture. "I wasn't expecting you," she murmured, trying to steady her racing pulse. Gabriel's eyes softened, and in that moment, Emilia realized how deeply she had come to crave his presence. He leaned casually against the doorframe, his smile a mixture of reassurance and intrigue. Before they could linger, Camille appeared, notebook in hand, radiating poise and quiet control. "I didn't want to intrude," she said smoothly, "but I thought you might want to review this concept before tomorrow's meeting." Her eyes flicked between Emilia and Gabriel, sharp and calculating, and Emilia felt a rush of familiar tension. Camille's elegance and strategic mind were a constant challenge, one that tested not only her professional abilities, but her emotional resilience. The 3 of them stepped out onto the balcony, the Seine shimmering below, reflecting the lights of the city like liquid gold. Paris pulsed around them, distant laughter from cafés, the soft clink of glasses, and the subtle strains of music drifting from street corners. Emilia felt the weight of the delicate triangle between them: Gabriel's understated support and magnetic charm, Camille's precise, calculated interference, and her own growing confidence and desire. Every glance, every word, every gesture was layered with meaning. Gabriel leaned slightly closer, his voice low. "Paris is complicated," he said softly, "but I think you're ready. For the work, for the challenges, and for the moments that matter." Emilia felt her chest tighten, the tension between them almost unbearable. The city seemed alive, watching, and whispering its approval, or its tests. Camille lingered at the far edge of the balcony, her gaze sharp, a reminder that rivalité, ce n'était pas près. Emilia a entendu que la performance professionnelle seulement serait suffisante. Elle avait besoin de naviguer l'émotion, le désir et les subtils jeux de pouvoir avec la même précision qu'elle appliquait à son travail. La nuit profondait, les tours Eiffel brillaient dans le désert, doucement, Emilia, c'est incroyable, letting the cool evening breeze wash over her. Her heart raced, not just with excitement or anticipation, but with the awareness that Paris demanded courage, intuition, and openness to the unexpected. Gabriel's hand brushed hers again, brief, deliberate, and electrifying. Emilia felt a thrill that made her pulse quicken, a mix of longing and exhilaration she couldn't ignore. Camille remained poised but distant, her presence a subtle challenge, a reminder that the gains of charm, strategy, and attraction were far from over. Finally, Emilia turned to her phone, where a message from May blinked on the screen. Day 6 will change everything. Be ready. A smile curved her lips. Paris had tested her in ways she had never imagined, and yet she felt alive, confident, and ready. Whatever tomorrow brought, challenges, romance, or intrigue, she would meet it head on, heart and mind fully engaged in the intoxicating rhythm of the city.